on YouTube. Visit our website, mohawkvalleyliving.com.
Before we take a road trip to any place in the Mohawk Valley, we research the history of the place we're going to. Today we're going to the town of Western, and so we came here to the Rome Historical Society that has all sorts of things about the town of Western and everything in the area of Rome. Make it a point yourself to come here sometime to this historical society. They have over 100,000 items and artifacts, and they're constantly changing the displays and whatever from month to month. It is unbelievable, well worth your time. The museum is open Tuesday through Friday at 10 o'clock, and they invite you to come here, as their slogan says, to Rome through our past.
I can't say no.
Today we ran into the Wednesday Morning Club, one of the most respected organizations in Rome. It's been around since 1892. It was started and continues as a study club. Now, if you would like to study more about Rome, you can come here to the Rome Historical Society, and one of the nicest parts about it, aside from the fantastic displays, is the fact that it's free.
Before we head north of Rome to Western, we traveled down Floyd Ave to Griffiths Park and the Oneida Financial Center. As you would expect, there are business people working, but they're enjoying their work over food and fresh coffee at the brand new second location of Espresso's.
The one on James Street downtown opened in May of '05, so we're going into our third year here now. And I always wanted to be in this coffee house business. I like to bake. I thought, okay, I can bake some little things every day, and I could try to bring like a gourmet espresso house to Rome, and that's what I did. It's been so successful downtown, and people really love it, so I thought, well, okay, now how about another one? But it's not always so easy, you know, but it's been really great, and you know, I guess it's just that entrepreneur spirit in you to want to expand, you know. They're like, well, you should open another one, and when are you going to franchise? And so here we are. We've got two now. As you know, the Griffiths used to be an Air Force base, and of course over the years they've turned it into a business park. I think there's almost 6,000 people that work up here. Oneida Savings Bank decided to move to Rome and build this building, and they always had in mind to have a cafe here. So I heard about that they were looking for a cafe, and you know, over the time they built it, I got to know Doug Bartell from Oneida Savings, and you know, we just worked out a deal, and here I am. It's a lot of hard work though, but once you're in business for yourself, you see that, you know, you can, it's all about what you want to do with it. You know, you can put as much in it or as little as you want. So if it works, it's because you made it work, really. I mean, I think, so it's all about how much hard work you want to do. So it's, you know, it's addictive, 14 hours a day. It's addictive.
Come down here any day this week to Espresso's and indulge yourself in anything from this pastry case. If you do, you will then be treated to a handcrafted cup of coffee.
It was late one night.
Before we head on our way, Richard decides to get a trim. No problem. Right next door in the same building is Sal's Barbershop, with good old-fashioned barbershop service.
It must have been Wash Loomis's ghost.
Just about 10 minutes north of Rome, traveling along Delta Lake, is the village of Westernville. The settlement of the town of Western began in 1789 by Asa Beckwith and his 4 sons. Henry Wager soon followed, and they became the earliest settlers in the country north of Fort Stanwix. The abundant water from the Mohawk River and the fertile soil resulted in the development of farms, sawmills, factories, and schools. Today, you can see the community's pride in their history by the preservation of their historic buildings, including the Westernville Presbyterian Church on Main Street.
The church was built in 1818 and has been continuously in operation since then. When you come here this morning, arrive a little bit before 10:45 to enjoy the stained glass windows, because they are over 100 years old, but they have a certain abstract quality to them, and the color of all of them is just unbelievable.
We invite you to join us today. We'll be spending time remembering how God has provided in the history of our congregation.
Here on the main street in the heart of Westernville, there's an old cemetery, and in that cemetery is buried William Floyd, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
There's a barn that once held horses.
We travel north through Frenchville to the hamlet of Northwestern and discover a bright tavern with a colorful history.
I can't say no.
Back in the early 1800s, when people made the trip from Boonville to Rome, it was a pretty long trip, so they would stop halfway here in Northwestern at a place called the Halfway House. It was built in 1820 and it still exists today. You can come here any day of the week. And when you walk into the first floor, take a good close look at where you're going, because on the first floor is where the horses were kept. They were the horse stables. The hotel portion was on the second floor. And across the street, a few feet, is also the canal, the Black River Canal.
After we leave the Halfway House Tavern, our curiosity tempts us to venture up Carmichael Road to Booty Hill.
Jacob Booty lived in the house behind me, and many people called him a genius. They came from all around the world to hear him speak, and from every state in the Union. He was, in the mid-1800s, an abolitionist, a believer in women's rights, and a sculptor. If you come here, just to see this one sculpture alone is enough, because it's the sculpture of Lot's wife. You remember that it was Lot's wife who was told by God not to look back on Sodom and Gomorrah. She did and was turned to a pillar of salt. Now she is forever etched in one of his sculptures here at Booty Hill. The caretaker here now is Bob Smith, and if you call ahead, he will give you a tour of the land around here. And when the children come with you, they'll be given a free coloring book about Jacob Booty.
Jacob Booty carved nearly 100 sculptures. Curiously, only a handful remain. People visit Booty Hill to learn more about Jacob Booty, but they also come to visit the somewhat eccentric Robert Smith, who tends to his expansive gardens and property and his extensive collection of tractors.
You can plant these 7,000 plants on the lawns, of 500 hanging baskets on the lawn, 500 of them green ales flower pouches, and it's these tractors. Everybody wants to see these tractors. Older people want to touch them. Just touch them. That's why the roadways are for older people, or actually anybody, so they can drive through the displays. That was in an era when you had to invent everything you wanted. And one of the loggers was killing his horses, getting logs out over the mountains. Went to Lombards, who were massive inventors. Your car brakes, everything, washing machines, all Lombards. And of course, you've heard of the Lombard chainsaw. He goes to Lombard and asks, can they build a machine that'll go over the mountain? He designs this 20-ton machine on a railroad engine. Takes a dog treadmill, and instead of powering the dog treadmill from the outside, he put the power inside and built what we call the lag bred track, which now everybody refers to as the Caterpillar track.
If you want to visit Booty Hill, you can call Bob at 827-4283. Be forewarned, it's a rustic location on an unpaved road and a little mysterious.
It's the end of the show.